fairness, equal opportunity, common decency. You'd think every American should enjoy those basic rights, especially at the vital, fundamental human activity of seeking or performing a job. But for too long, too many Americans have suffered discrimination with no recourse because of their race, color, gender, national origin, age, disability, or religion, factors that have nothing to do with their ability to do a job well. Passing laws to make such discrimination illegal and enforcing those laws have been a long struggle. In the 1930s, President Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal began the extended process of addressing those injustices. Roosevelt's many government employment and training programs had anti-discrimination provisions, but they, as well as FDR's Fair Employment Practices Commission, lacked sufficient enforcement authority. The challenges of fighting discrimination continued as slow but steady progress was made. President Harry Truman's executive order desegregating the armed forces in 1948 was a huge leap forward. But in the 1950s, President Eisenhower's Civil Rights Commission found still widespread employment discrimination in government. Throughout that decade, Congress proved unable to pass meaningful civil rights legislation. Several progressive states enacted their own civil rights laws that were enforced by state and local fair employment practices agencies. In the meantime, civil rights struggles intensified as Americans demanded the rights that now seem so basic.
Before the EEOC, you had educated, trained people, but the employment doors were closed to them.
In 1963, a full century after the Emancipation Proclamation, President Kennedy sent a comprehensive civil rights package to Congress.
We face, therefore, a moral crisis as a country and a people. We have a right to expect that the Negro community will be responsible, will uphold the law, but they have a right to expect that the law will be fair, that the Constitution will be colorblind, as Justice Harlan said at the turn of the century. This is what we're talking about, and this is a matter which concerns this country and what it stands for. And in meeting it, I ask the support of all of our citizens.
After Kennedy's assassination, President Johnson made a major push to get the civil rights legislation passed.
This Civil Rights Act is a challenge to all of us to go to work in our communities and our states, in our homes and in our hearts, to eliminate the last vestiges of injustice in our beloved country.
On July 2, 1964, President Johnson signed the 1964 Civil Rights Act, the most significant piece of human rights legislation in a century. The Act's Title VII, which borrowed some language from state civil rights laws, made job discrimination based on race, color, sex, religion, or national origin against federal law. And one of Title VII's key provisions gave birth to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, to be the government's premier champion against employment discrimination. The EEOC opened its doors on July 2, 1965, under its first chairman, Franklin Roosevelt, Jr. It was immediately clear how badly needed the new agency was.
The agency had been designed, I guess the thought was that within the first year, we probably would get somewhere in the neighborhood of about 3,000 charges. Okay. When they opened the doors, there were probably already 3,000 charges waiting in a mail hopper, waiting to drop on us.
New laws and amendments in the 60s and 70s gave the EEOC its litigation teeth, as well as new protections based on age, pregnancy, and sexual harassment. One important task was to educate the nation that workers vulnerable to discrimination had more rights now, and there was an EEOC to fight for them.
Hi, this is Bill Cosby. You know, in most communities, equal job opportunities just doesn't exist at all.
The world is not a perfect place. You can take it from me, Ray Charles. But there's a lot of people around trying to improve things. Now, in Washington, D.C., they've got the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission.
I am Ricardo Montalban. The U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission has been established not only to enforce the law against job discrimination, but also to help industry recruit, hire, and train minority people.
I'm Lou Rawls. Now, the Equal Employment Opportunities Commission was set up in Washington to make sure that Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 is obeyed.
I'm Gail Fisher, and I want to talk to you about being behind the 8 ball when it comes to finding a job or getting a promotion.
This is Quincy Jones. You see, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 states that you cannot be denied a job, any job, on account of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin.
Everybody wants to be a winner. To be a winner takes cooperation of management and solid teamwork. I know. I'm Doug Cosby, tight end of the Dallas Cowboys.
Players have to work together for a football team to be successful. It's the same thing with jobs. Employers and employees must work towards the same goal.
Equal employment opportunity is the law, and it will be enforced. But teamwork also pays off. For further information, call the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission.
Over the decades, the Commission continued to help discrimination law evolve as new issues came to the fore and new measures arose to fight injustice. 2 additional civil rights laws came under the EEOC's enforcement responsibilities in 1978. The Equal Pay Act, which prohibits wage-based gender discrimination, and the Age Discrimination in Employment Act.
Football stadiums played a big part in my life. I can still hear the cheers of the crowd and the prodding of the coach to give it all you got. I love football, and I gave it all I had. But today, many people in this country between 40 and 70 years of age have been benched. They've lost their jobs, they've been passed over, or can't get employment because of their age. If you're one of these people and you want to get back in the game, call the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission.
For some, the strategy is to tell the government. Age discrimination complaints have risen steadily in the last 2 years and now account for more than 1/5 of claims to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Even though studies indicate older workers are more loyal and productive.
One of Arizona's largest employers pays out big to settle an age-biased lawsuit.
No employer looking to reduce its workforce should plan on balancing its books on the backs of older workers. It is not fair. It's not good business. EEOC will not look the other way.
Also in 1978, Congress amended Title VII with passage of the Pregnancy Discrimination Act to protect women from workplace bias due to pregnancy, maternity leave, or related medical conditions.
It was the largest settlement of its type in the history of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and it was announced at a news conference in Chicago.
This is a prime example of an inequality in the workplace and a perfect example of what the EEOC is working to eliminate.
The EEOC has played a pioneering role in developing legal theory on sexual harassment, recognizing it as a form of unlawful sex discrimination in 1980. The federal courts, including the U.S. Supreme Court, have followed the EEOC's lead, such as in a landmark 1986 ruling that harassment that creates a hostile environment violates Title VII. The Commission's major settlements of sexual harassment cases have educated the public about the seriousness of this form of discrimination and led to a higher level of awareness by employers and employees alike.
Studies show that while as many as 85% of women experience some harassment during their lives, only 5% file charges.
The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission says it has won a record settlement of more than $1 million from a Long Island cosmetics company.
The largest case of sexual harassment in U.S. history has been filed.
We are pleased to announce today the settlement of the largest sexual harassment suit ever filed by the EEOC. Subject to the approval of Judge McDade, it will be resolved by court order called the consent decree in favor of more than 300 female victims of egregious and illegal discrimination.
Sexual harassment suit against an area restaurant tonight. A woman who claims she's a victim speaks out on the allegations.
I could no longer work there under the conditions, the abusive, the vulgar, the touching was the final episode.
The 11 women are filing civil lawsuits, but now the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission is also stepping in, filing a lawsuit on behalf of the women.
America's long march toward equal employment opportunity took a huge stride forward in 1990 with the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Title I of this landmark legislation gave protection to millions of qualified people with disabilities who were either in the workforce or seeking gainful employment. Former EEOC Chairman Evan Kemp Jr. was one of the chief architects of the ADA and oversaw the implementation of Title I during his chairmanship.
And on your behalf, as well as the behalf of this entire country, I now lift my pen to sign this Americans with Disability Act and say, let the shameful wall of exclusion finally come tumbling down. God bless you all.
Since its implementation, the ADA has accounted for more than 20% of the EEOC's caseload, as hundreds of thousands of people with disabilities have sought the Commission's help.
This is Dateline Tuesday, September 9th, 1997. Tonight,
2 men applying for one job.
My name is David Hondwitz.
I understand you're hiring?
Who's hired?
She called him and offered him a job? Interesting.
Why? The law is clear. But you'll see on hidden camera the cold, hard reality of how many treat the disabled.
A law cannot change attitudes.
You'll see what it's like to be disabled in America.
I would love to do it myself.
Discrimination with a smile. That's what we're seeing here right now.
When the Americans with Disabilities Act went into effect 2 years ago, most people thought it would prohibit discrimination against those in wheelchairs or with other physical or mental liabilities. But now the Equal Employment Opportunities Commission has agreed to take the case of a plaintiff who is using the law to help others, people infected with a dreaded virus.
For the first time, people who are discharged who have HIV, or people who are denied disability or health insurance because they have HIV, are now able to come to a federal agency and seek relief for that.
And that brings us to NBC News In Depth tonight on this, the 5th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. That was the sweeping civil rights law that gives 49 million disabled Americans new rights and new protections.
Gilbert Casillas, chairman of the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission.
Until people realize that the act means what it says, that we intend to enforce it, that they need to get beyond the fear and the myth and the stereotype and actually hire some people, you're not going to see a change in the employment statistics.
Another problem, the EEOC has been swamped with 50,000 complaints of discrimination under the Disabilities Act.
The 21st century brings new challenges to the EEOC's more than 50 field offices and fewer than 2,500 employees, more than 1,000 fewer than a quarter century ago. Cutting-edge issues such as same-sex harassment and genetic bias further expand the EEOC's range of responsibilities.
In the first lawsuit of its kind, the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the EEOC, has sued a powerful railroad company charging it was testing its workers surreptitiously in search of a gene that could mean the workers might develop the common workplace injury called carpal tunnel syndrome. What disturbed the EEOC was that if the company could prove that the workers' carpal tunnel was genetic and not caused by the work they do, the railroad could then avoid paying the employees' medical bills and could also get around reimbursing them for their lost wages.
This type of testing is simply inappropriate, indeed illegal.
Ida Castro heads the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the EEOC. Castro says the railroad's genetic tests violate the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA, because the tests were designed to determine whether the railroad should pay the workers' medical bills, not whether they could do their jobs properly.
In 1999, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission filed a class action lawsuit, its first ever involving same-gender sexual harassment. The plant settled, agreeing to pay $1.9 million to workers while admitting no wrongdoing.
America's demographics are shifting. Technology, immigration, and the evolving workplace all play a part. Ever higher numbers of people of all races, creeds, and national origins now fill the nation's workforce. Teenage workers have also surged into jobs where they have too often been victimized by sexual harassment. To address this serious issue, EEOC Vice Chair Naomi Earp spearheaded a new EEOC campaign, Youth at Work, to draw attention to this growing type of misconduct against our most vulnerable workers.
Discrimination happens to all employees of all ages, but offenders sometimes single out teen workers because they think you don't know any better. Sometimes, too, people commit acts of discrimination because they don't know any better.
What does your education plan work for involving educating the schools and students directly?
Our Youth at Work initiative includes free outreach activities with schools every week over the next 52 weeks. Somewhere in the country, one of our district offices will be sponsoring a youth outreach activity.
In September 2001, EEOC Chair Carrie Dominguez traveled to New York to announce the Commission's groundbreaking sex discrimination case against a major Wall Street brokerage firm.
Allison Shefflin says she felt left out on the job. A federal agency has found that her white shoe employer discriminated against the bond salesperson and other women. It's the first time the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission has taken on the glass ceiling issue on Wall Street.
The next day was 9/11. And the EEOC's New York office was in World Trade Center number 7, right next to the downed towers. The offices were destroyed, along with all the files and equipment in them. The EEOC's operation in America's most populous city was now homeless.
Oh my God. Look behind us. Please pan in this way. Please be careful of your baby. This is it.
That's the building coming down.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. No. No. Listen. We'll be all right. We'll be all right.
We're okay. Ashley! I think we're okay. Ashley, I think we're okay.
All right. We're going to have to move this way. We're going to have to move. We're going to have to move. That cloud is coming this way.
Yeah. Ashley, get out of there. Leave the camera on, man, if you need to, and get out of there. What we've been fearing all afternoon has apparently happened. We were watching number 7 World Trade, which was part of the ancillary damage of the explosion and collapse of the other 2.
We didn't have any sense. Nobody had anything thought that the buildings would collapse or anything like that would happen.
You heard the rumble and just the rush of air and the cloud, and at that point everybody started running.
As I went back in, my daughter was watching CNN and she said, your building is collapsing, or collapsed. And then they kept showing that picture. I mean, I must have seen it collapse about 10 times that night.
I've been with the commission for so long, it's become like my second home. I've been here since I was 18 years old, so it's been almost like my parent, my friend. So my whole world was coming down. I just cried most of the day, to tell you the truth.
Mercifully, all employees of the EEOC's New York office survived this nightmarish day. But the EEOC's New York employees could not slow down their mission. They had to rebuild and carry on. Too many people were depending on them.
What we do, I think, at EEOC is to try to bring tolerance, equality, and justice into the workplace. And the workplace is where the majority of people spend the majority of their day. So, in a sense, I see our work as more important than ever.
I look at this as an opportunity to start anew, and to just be creative. It's all taken away, we can all rebuild it again. It's an opportunity to start anew. It's a new day.
And 9/11 brought a newer set of discrimination issues to the fore.
We've called this meeting to focus on the employment issues that the events of September 11th have triggered and our responsibilities relating to them. We have received many reports of employment discrimination since September 11th against people who are or are perceived to be Arab, Muslims, Sikh, Eastern or Middle Eastern or South Asians.
Too many employers not only perpetrate discrimination, but they also make a bad situation worse by retaliating against the victim for speaking out. That's illegal too. And over the years, the EEOC has dealt with a steadily growing number of retaliation claims, which now account for more than 28% of all charges. But even as new issues emerge, past issues like race discrimination have never gone away. Throughout the Commission's history, racial bias has been the most frequent type of complaint coming into the EEOC's doors, and it still accounts for around 35% of all charges. The same injustices which led to the founding of the Commission and lay at the foundation of its core mission are still with us today.
The lawsuit the Federal Equal Employment Opportunity Commission filed against the dealership alleges the place has allowed rampant physical and verbal racial harassment.
If he wanted to, all of a sudden he wanted to have a meeting about anything, and I'm on the phone with a customer, he'll take his stick and hit me on my leg and say, "Nigga, get off the phone." You know, just loud enough so I can hear it.
The used car manager is not identified in the lawsuit. But the EEOC lawsuit says he threatened and struck black employees with a baseball bat and/or nightstick, which he referred to as his N-word stick or his B-word stick. Boyd lost his job after complaining. According to the lawsuit, Boyd was fired by the used car manager on the basis of race and retaliation.
Carrie Dominguez, the Commission's first chair of the 21st century, has instituted a 5-point plan to streamline the EEOC strategy. She also introduced the Freedom to Compete initiative.
And one of the things we're doing is trying to expand and break down and provide a freedom to compete in the workplace on a level playing field. And that's the issue that we've addressed.
Today, I'm unveiling a series of public service announcements about an initiative that will touch the lives of thousands of American workers.
The clock doesn't ask if you're a man or a woman, how old you are, or what color your skin is. It only asks, what's the best you can do?
In sports and in the workplace, we all want the freedom to compete and to show the world what we can accomplish. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, working with you to create a better workplace. Visit EEOC.gov.
Have you ever wondered what you could really do if you set your mind to it? If you had the chance? There's something great in each of us. And all it takes to find out what you can accomplish is an equal opportunity.
Every day, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission works with you to promote free and open competition in the workplace. It's all about the freedom to compete. Visit EEOC.gov.
In June 2005, the EEOC presented Freedom to Compete awards to 6 worthy employers for their activities in promoting fair and open competition in the workplace. One of Chair Dominguez's key ideals is proactive prevention, guiding companies toward inclusive policies. After all, the best way to fight discrimination is to prevent it from happening in the first place. The EEOC aims to be not just a watchdog, but also a workplace partner.
One of the ways which the company dealt with that was to mandate that when promotional opportunities came up, when managers were presented with opportunities to promote, that they should think in terms of a diverse pool of candidates. If you're looking for engineers, you go to organizations like the American Association of African American Engineers or some organization such as that.
It's been a long and difficult march. According to several traditions, 40 years constitute a generation, a good benchmark to look back and take stock as you march forward. For 40 years now, the EEOC's professionals have risen to meet challenge after challenge as the nation has gone through many upheavals and dramatic workplace changes. Justice, like life itself, isn't a final destination, but a continuing journey. No matter what issues the future may bring, the EEOC will keep advancing up the path of employment justice for all Americans.